I sought death when the lies that claimed to be life were too painfully exposed. There was no obvious salve or savior, and so I simply began to implode. So that one was actually me. That was something that came to me this morning, and I just had to share it with you. And you know what? I didn't even bother to shower first because I want this to be a message to you that you don't have to go on a wellness retreat to heal, to get insights. They can come to you right here and now on a Sunday morning in your pajamas. And that's exactly what happened. And so you can engage in very powerful healing right here and now. And that quote that I read you, which is, I suppose, a little bit like a short poem, is all about what this episode is today. It is about those of us who have courted self-destruction, those of us who've intentionally sought out dangerous people and dangerous situations, death, what I call death. My definition of death is not the physical act of dying, it is destruction. It is intentionally putting ourselves in harmful or self-destructive situations because, as I read in my quote, everything that claimed to be life failed us. So we feel that we have no option. If you've ever struggled with self-destruction and the shame that comes with that, this episode is for you. I'm going to share with you some things that might just give you some relief from that shame you carry from self-destruction. Or maybe you are in the midst of some self-destruction. You're in a relationship, you're in a job, you're in a community. Maybe it's your friends. Maybe you have shitty friends that are pulling you into self-destructive tendencies. Maybe you're in the midst of that, or maybe you've freed yourself, but you're still carrying the residue, the painful, traumatic residue of that. Today, in this episode, it's your ticket to freedom. I'm going to give you the tools to help walk you through that and teach you how to use the very weapons that you used to kind of turn on yourself as hammers and nails. And man, I wish I knew more about how to physically build a building, but I don't. But the weapons that you used to use to destroy yourself are going to become the very things that help you build something life-giving for yourself and others. That's what this episode is about today. And eventually I'll learn how to make a clearer, analogy with building things, but you get my point, okay? So let's talk about this quote. Let's talk about this business that came to me this morning. I sought death when the lies that claimed to be life were too painfully exposed. There was no obvious salve or savior, so I simply began to implode. Those of us that find ourselves in self-destructive situations, and what I mean by self-destructive is like, you're in a toxic relationship. You know that you're probably drinking too much to numb things. You know that this friend group that you're in is really just a distraction. They're people who are also running from things. And so when you hang out with them, you can just focus on the thrill of the moment and you don't really have to face what's bothering you. Those are just some examples of self-destructive things, things that you know aren't good for you, things that you know are toxic for you, but you're engaging with them anyway because you already tried what you were prescribed. And by that I mean the life that you were supposed to live. Okay, maybe you tried the healthy relationship and you ended up divorced and on the other side of a lot of debt, or what you were told was a healthy relationship. I have to quote Ultron and say, don't confuse um, peace with quiet. That's kind of paraphrased, but it's Ultron from Avengers when he says, I think you're confusing peace with quiet, when he talks about, the state of the world after the Avengers had done some saving, where it's like, this isn't peace, this is just quiet. I think that's something that, and by the way, I love Ultron. You got to go over to my website and read Widow's Soul because it's actually all about both Black Widow's resurrection and Ultron's resurrection via the Soul Stone. It's just a really good fucking story and you can read it for free. So go read it. I'll put the link in the notes. It's really, really good. But I think Ultron had some points, and a lot of us end up in self-destructive situations because we tried the quiet thing that was masquerading as peace. Okay, that's where that piece in the quote that I was talking about, a lot of us try what is prescribed to us as life, what is told to us as this is what life is, this is how it should be defined. And then when it inevitably fails, it's like, well, then I must fail. The system appears to be working for everybody else, but not me. So I must be the problem. I must deserve death. I must deserve things that are lower than life because this thing, this materialism, this relationship, this religion that people told me is supposed to be life-giving is not life-giving. At least not for me. And because of the masks that other people wear, you feel like, okay, well, they seem happy. They seem at peace. It seems to be working out for them. I guess I must be the problem. Well, maybe this dangerous activity has the answer. If you've ever been destructive, it's probably not all your fault. Now, I know just the very phrase self-destructive, yes, we have a hand in it. We are agents of free will, but we can't ignore the fact that we all influence each other's energy and that many of us who just did what we were told, followed the religion, got the job, got the relationship, got the house, like many of us who did that and it failed us, you know, tend to think like, well, it's my fault. Maybe it's actually the fault of a broken system. And so the solution to this that I'm here to kind of also share with you, because no surprise, part of the reason these insights came to me is because of another recurring nightmare. So the solution to this is to work with our wounds. And that's what I'm going to talk about next, how we work with our wounds. Rather than just getting to this, achievement finish line, this is about working with our wounds. And I know I've had a couple episodes about wounds, but each one addresses a different layer of this. Because something I can tell you about education is that it's not meant to be achievement based of like, okay, I've learned this one thing, I've arrived here, now I've got it, now it's clear. It's not meant to be like that. Education is meant to be a journey. It's meant, and here's the encouraging thing, because as someone who's very intense and just wants to get to the finish line, like I can relate to, no, I just want to finish the project. I just want to understand. I was talking with my husband this morning about how frustrated I am when I can't understand something, when I don't have all the answers. And it was about this very dream that I'm about to tell you about. I get angry when I can't just understand, when something isn't immediately clear to me. It drives me crazy. And so I can relate if you're somebody that's like, oh, fuck the journey, man. Like, I just want to know. But I am learning the gifts of the journey. I'm learning that it's not just about dealing with the impatience till you get to the next thing. I'm learning about the capacity of human beings. I'm learning what we have the power to hold. I'm learning that we can have our wounds right here and our power right here, and that they work together in this mystical kind of circle and sphere, okay? And that says a lot about how powerful we are, that we can have a wound here and our power right here at the same time, next to each other, in one hand, and one thing in one hand, the other in the other hand for those who are on audio, okay? Our wounds and our power exist alongside us. And that doesn't mean you're meant to have eternal suffering. It's meant to show you your divinity and your power and your ability to thrive, to be so much stronger than the privileged people who were just handed power and then used it to abuse other people. It's meant to show you how powerful you are, to do something in spite of, and then while doing that thing in spite of all of the oppressive forces that are against you, be building this world where maybe that doesn't have to be how we function anymore. As you come into your power while also feeling these wounds, maybe you're also building something for the collective to where we can actually live in a world where people have free will and they use that free will to serve and connect and have compassion for other people rather than using that free will to kill and destroy and colonize and abuse. That's kind of where I'm going with this. And so this dream that I had, again, it was the recurring dream of I'm back in a school. I'm teaching, I'm substituting, and I know I'm not supposed to be there. And the students are just being crazy. Like they're intentionally derailing the lesson and they're being rude and disrespectful and scaring the other students. And I'm going to the powers that be for support, the interventionists, the principals, all these people, and they don't care. Either they're not there or they don't care. It very much mirrors the dream I have where somebody's in danger, kids are in danger, and I'm trying to get to the police, and I either can't dial the number or the police are right there and they don't care. These are very common recurring dreams for me where something is really wrong, but the help isn't there. And I was mad this morning. I was talking to my husband and I was angry. I'm like, why? Why? I quit over a year and a half ago. I don't dwell on this all that often. Obviously, it comes up because it's something that, that is near and dear to my heart because I became a teacher because I wanted to help and I'm a very sensitive person, so I feel corruption very deeply. So sure, like it embedded itself into multiple layers of my psyche and body and spirit, but it's like, but I've also moved on in that I've focused on my writing. I've focused on talking with you in this podcast. I've focused on building a community elsewhere. So it wasn't like this job that I poured my heart into and was a very huge part of my life for 11 years. It wasn't like, you know, I I gave up after that. It's like, no, I learned how to use my talents elsewhere, but it's still haunting me. It's still haunting me. And lots of our wounds are like that, right? You move on. You do the healthy things, but the wound is still there. And it can drive us crazy. It can move us sometimes to self-destructive things too, like just having the wound still there and not being able to numb it. When numbing fails, it's like then we just, sometimes the tendency is to push ourselves further into self-destruction because we just want the pain to go away. Well, what I'm learning is that, when it comes to this dream, all right, when it comes to this dream specifically of being back in a classroom, knowing I'm not supposed to be there, dealing with chaos and abusive situations, it's like I know that part of its purpose is to protect me so that I don't give in and go back. I think the other reason that I am having this dream is to heal the conditioning that I experienced with institutions. Right? Because especially here in the United States, we are conditioned to trust in institutions and to please those institutions. My husband has dealt with this in the corporate world too, as so many of us have. We're trained to be professional. We're trained to constantly people please these CEOs and these, upper management and these people at the top who mismanage budgets and don't care about the people who are actually making the money and actually serving the populations. We're kind of at their mercy, yet we're taught to please them. We're taught to go to them. We're taught to be polite and give our 2 weeks notice when we want to go, to do the professional thing, even if we have not been treated in a professional manner. Same thing with a lot of our religious institutions. We are taught to cling to the structure, to cling to the policy, to cling to the outdated books as a form of safety. And this is what I mean, where when sometimes these things fail, sometimes these prescriptions fail, we think we're the problem because we're trained to think that we're the problem because we're treated like a number in a budget. We're treated like a sheep in a flock. We're treated like a unruly individual if we have a problem, disgruntled. Okay, that's a fun word, right? Disgruntled. We're trained to think that we're the problem if when these institutions inevitably fail us. And at least with Americans, the one of two routes they take is either typically becoming self-destructive or becoming a mask, where they numb themselves so much to all of the corruption and the failures that it's like, well, I don't care. And now I've become a monster too. This is where a lot of our collective wounds come from. And these dreams have come to me because I think they are urging me to clear the conditioning that I've learned, to clear this people-pleasing machine mentality that I've adopted, and to also point me towards being part of the change. This is what I mean about our wounds, the weapons that we've turned in that have been used against us that we then turn in on ourselves. Well, what if we flip those back out and build something bigger? I actually wrote another story about this too that you got to read. It's called Daenerys. It's on my website for free. And again, I wrote the story to kind of to because I believe Daenerys was done dirty in the way that Game of Thrones ended. She was this powerful, amazing character who they just did dirty, and no surprise, just like Widow's Soul, there's some resurrection themes in there. Daenerys comes back to life, but the specific part that I'm talking about is actually about Arya, right? Arya Stark, fan favorite. And there's this scene that's actually one of my favorites in the whole story that I wrote where she's building a castle out of dragon glass, and Drogon, Daenerys's dragon, is there and they actually become friends. And this is a spoiler alert, but it's so good that I have to tell you, as Arya is building this, she doesn't even know what she's building at first. She just has these tools, she's haunted. She has PTSD from killing the Night King and his being so close to his energy. And she has these weapons that were used and forged, to kill the Night King, which she did, but then they kind of became a source of PTSD for her. And so she uses them to build something else that's not just meant for war. And before she knows it, she's built this castle that can hold a dragon, and she's built this community where people come to live a safe and free life, which I would argue is what Daenerys actually wanted before her story was perverted into the whole bitch be crazy trope of like, well, if a woman has too much power, she's just going to go crazy. Like, fuck that, man. So you got to just go read Daenerys. Okay. It's on my website. I'm going to link that too and make it really easy for you, and share the stories because they're good. They're life-giving. They remind people of their power, specifically women, but also people. Like, I write male characters in a powerful way. I even fixed Bran, okay? The concept of Bran is really cool, right? He's the three-eyed raven. He's got these mystical powers. That's a cool concept. They just made him fucking weird. He just sits in a chair staring, creeping people out. They did him dirty too. So you know what? I made Bran cool. So go read that story. But I bring this all up to say that we can work with our wounds. We can work with the things that hurt us that we then learned to kind of turn in on ourselves. We can use those weapons to be tools to build something better. Work with our wounds. And often this means we have to trust the process of the seed. We have to trust that, okay, I know that this is bothering me. I know that it starts sometimes with what we can't do. So, like for my dream, it's like these dreams bother me. I wake up feeling stressed and violated, and it's like, okay, this starts with what we can't do. It's like, I know I can never go back. I can never go back to serving an institution like that. And that's been part of my healing journey over the last year and a half, is that I've been able to detach and actually have the time and space to reflect on, okay, I can't ever do that again. I can never go back. So healing, working with our wounds, starts with recognizing how much we are wounded, that this caused us pain, that this made us feel violated, abused, neglected, used. Okay, we can never do that again. That's the beginning of working with our wounds, is recognizing that, this hurts. Like, hey, I don't have to numb this. I can acknowledge that it hurts. Because let me tell you something, my friends, and I'm about to cry as I say this. Acknowledging that something hurts does not make you weak. Acknowledging that something hurts does not mean you are stuck or trapped in your pain. It means that you are a powerful healer because you were vulnerable enough to care and be wounded. If you are wounded, that means that you were doing something with your heart. You were doing something heart-centered and powerful. Your wounds do not make you weak. They are a testament to your strength. And now that you know what hurts, it's like, okay, why did this hurt me? In the case of teaching, it hurt me because it's like I poured my whole heart into what I was doing. Teaching from me was a place where I was creative, I was innovative. I was working outside of these prescribed models of achievement-based learning, and I was helping students to develop their voice, to learn how to think, to study the works of revolutionary people and learn how to become revolutionaries. So it hurt because it's like, hey, I did not take this job lightly. I took it very seriously and dealt with a lot of bullshit related to behavioral problems and broken systems because I believed in the mission so much and I got screwed by the system. I got laid off and put into a school where I would be abused and gaslit into thinking that it was my fault if a kid who had just slammed a book at me was put back into my room 5 minutes later because there was nowhere else for him to go. There's many forms of institutionalized abuse, okay? And so it hurts because it's like, hey, I'm here trying to help and I'm being punished for it. I'm sure you have your own version of that. So work with that wound. Now that you know what you can never go back to, now that you know why something hurts, well, where can you redirect that energy? What can you make? Because, my friends, the way that we are going to rebuild this country is not by using the broken systems that are already in place. It's about building new systems. I was introduced to a quote by a profound author, Audre Lorde. I'm actually going to get one of her books today. And no surprise, I was introduced to this quote by listening to one of Channy's podcasts. It was like a year-old one. But Audre said in one of her essays, "The tools of the master will never dismantle the master's house." That's so beautiful. The tools of the master will never dismantle the master's house. Audre Lorde's quote. Wow. If there's anybody who built something in spite of, who found herself in spite of, it's Audre Lorde, and I can't wait to read about her further. Like I said, I'm getting my ass to the library later today to go pick up one of her books. So how this applies to you is that you need to recognize what hurts, why it hurts, and that it's maybe time for you to build something. And you don't have to have the entire blueprint to start. That's what achievement-based culture has taught us too, is that, well, if I'm going to do this, I have to have A, B, C, and fuck, I have to, I have to have L too. Like, let's throw L in there because, we can't do without L. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to follow a prescribed method to build something new. Anything innovative was experimental. And this is where I think capitalism and our school systems really failed us because we're punished for trying and quote unquote failing. We're held back or we're pushed forward before we're ready instead of the experiment. Anybody who's accomplished and but you know what that does? You know what educating kids the way that we have does? It teaches them to be cogs in the machine. It teaches them to just kind of, okay, fill in the blank, do what you're told, listen to the one at the top, no matter how they treat you, and you'll get where you need to go. Now, that's how you condition machines. That's how you create capitalistic machines who make money for other people and then get punished for it when those other people mismanage their budgets and treat their people like machines. That's what you get. Anybody who's ever done anything great in this world did not have the whole blueprint. They tried something and they failed, but then they tried again. But then they learned something as they were trying, and they pulled this piece in and that piece in, and before they knew it, they had a house. They had a structure that could foster learning, compassion, community, advancement in good ways, not in colonization brood ways, right? So working with your wounds means acknowledging the hurt, examining the tools, the things that were used to wound you and why it worked. And then looking at what can I do with these tools if they're in my hands? That's what my book She Death's Reflection is about. It's about the seeds of the monster. And the main character in She Death's Reflection is holding these chipped, broken, poisoned seeds that this She Death monster left because she's dealing, because that's often what happens with abusive people, right? We have to deal with their mess. And the hero in the story is working with these elemental, powerful figures that are saying the seeds are something else in your hands. You have the power to change the DNA of these seeds. So these poisonous things that were attempted to be planted by the abusive, narcissistic monsters of our time, they are something else in your hands. So, my friend, what is it that you need to pick up? The weapons, the poison seeds that have been used against you, what are they in your hands? Because you are the one with the magic. You are the one with the tools that can rebuild this place. You are. Give yourself the gift of acknowledging your wounds. Give yourself the gift of understanding why it hurts and work with it. It doesn't mean you're just impatiently waiting to feel perfect. It means you will know your own strength and what you can build, how strong you can become. The one cool thing about this dream that I had where there was this chaos going, I was stepping out into the hall to see if there was anybody who could help me with the chaos inside. And as I had half my body out in the hall in this dream and half my body in the classroom, I had one hand on the door to hold it open so that these students in the dream that were causing chaos couldn't shut it and wreak more havoc. There were several of them who kept trying to shut it, who were pulling on the door. And it took very little effort for me to hold it open with one hand. So it's like they're straining, they're pulling, but they can't shut the door. My one hand, is holding it open. And as I speak to you now, I'm realizing that's because working with our wounds builds muscles. Enduring the pain and the intensity as we're working towards something stronger. It's literally the simple, analogy of working out. It's intense. You're holding a huge weight, but you are building something stronger, and it's you. And then you have that strength. You get to keep those muscles, and you get to go build something bigger with them. So I'm holding this door with very little effort, which means I still have a very powerful hand in the game. So even though I was used and abused by these systems too, I have built a strength that means they can't shut me out. As crazy as it is, they can't shut me out. I have the freedom to take these seeds, to take these weapons, and to build something new. I've got two more things I want to share with you before I sign off. This is a book I wrote called Monsters. Okay. And this is the one, it's a novella, so it's shorter, so you can read it in one night. And it's kind of meant to be a rabbit hole for you to jump down into. So you should buy it. I'm going to link it. It's actually the prequel to, well, the first book in the series with She Death's Reflection. So I brought up She Death's Reflection. This is the first one I wrote. And it ends with the monster of She Death being introduced. And then She Death's Reflection is all about that part of it. So this is actually the first one. It's my husband's favorite thing, actually, that I've ever written. And I have noticed from the people who've read this that it has had a sort of transformative effect, because the reason I wrote this was because I was angry at myself for having a panic attack. And as I've mentioned on the show before, I don't really get panic attacks. Again, I've had maybe 2 or 3 in my whole life. And I was mad at myself for getting upset. I was mad at myself because of a wound. And then I got mad that I was mad about the wound. And it was like, who told me I should be upset that my body reacted this way? Maybe I should work with it. And that's when I started writing this book. And literally, part of the description says, monsters are real, and I'm tired of running from them. If I am afraid, then there's reason to fear. And so it was about working with my body's reactions. And I made this beautiful piece of art out of it. And this part that I want to read to you, because it's this really like mystical, magical way of healing from the trauma of abuse, both systemic and intimate partner violence. And it's really, really amazing. I like personify the concept of an abusive person, like that pound anger that comes out in an abusive person and the pain that we get sort of codependent on, the pain of being in an abusive relationship. And so I just want to read this to you, to kind of help you with this concept of self-destruction and freeing yourself from it. I knew death could kill me. I knew a part of him wanted to. I still know it. I felt his hand slide slowly across my throat, and his calloused skin comforted me. No, it wasn't me who craved comfort in death. I don't know what I was. Numb. That's what I was. I was so numb I played with fire. I ignored myself and crashed into me at the same time. I embraced death, but he didn't kill me. I still don't know why. We do. And this is where the mystical creatures are speaking to her. We, pain pound you and we. Your patterns of survival were already killing you. And we were accidentally killing you and saving you at the same time. Death wasn't as unfamiliar as he seemed. Well, then how am I alive? You have wings. You flew away. I looked down at my side and saw feathers near my hips, clearly the tips of wings that were attached at the middle of my back, thick and strong like an angel's. Wings are the creation of monsters. And then I felt the roots between my shoulder blades, the high center of my back where I held stress. Now I know that where I carried stress, I was building muscles, the muscles of my wings. I had been flexing them without knowing, flexing with pain and pound. Death can't fly, we whispered, and you didn't really want to die. Now, obviously, that's kind of mystical and magical and trippy, and you just need to read the whole thing, right? But wings are the creation of monsters, right? Like a lot of times, monsters are these creepy winged bat things, but it's like, what happens when we're wearing the wings? What happens when these muscles, because a lot of you are probably like me and you hold your stress right, up here in your upper back, neck, middle back area. What if we just learn to work with that stress and those wounds differently? And what if we realized that even as we were self-destructive, we didn't really want to die? Because part of my tendencies were playing with fire, with dangerous people, intentionally putting myself in dangerous situations because the life that I was prescribed, didn't have the answers, so maybe death does. I thought I wanted to die. I was playing with fire. I was playing with people who I knew wanted to hurt me. But I didn't really want to die. There was something magical and divine in me that reached higher. And I'm calling on those parts of you, the part of you that's reaching higher, that's still there, that pulled you into this episode today. I'm calling on you to work with your wounds, whatever they may be. And that starts with acknowledging the pain, letting yourself reflect on why it hurt you, and then realizing what you can build with it. A very real example I have is of my physical therapy. I was in physical therapy for my lower back and pelvis. I've been in it since January. Now it's July. I even had to get some extra approvals from insurance because I've gone over the prescribed number of times I can get therapy. And I am getting frustrated with the process a little bit of like, why isn't my back better yet? I'm putting my full effort into healing. I'm putting all of this into healing. And Why am I not better? I'm putting in my best A for effort, energy. Why am I not better? Well, it's because there's a journey here. I'm meant to work with this wound right now, and I am getting better. Like I am making progress, by the way. There's lots of things that used to cause me debilitating pain that now are just a dull ache. And it's allowed me to build a relationship with my physical therapist. I love her so much. I love chatting with her. And who knows, like maybe we're healing each other in other ways because it's like when someone is helping you heal your body, you build a special connection with them. And also, the physical therapists who I've met are also very powerful healers. And the ones who I've talked to say, yeah, I just want to help people be able to live their lives. And so going for this long, part of what this wound has gifted me and the power that it's creating is number one, the power of female connection, because I'm connecting with another woman as she helps heal me. That in and of itself, women healing each other rather than pitting, themselves against each other, comparing themselves, one-upping each other, doing these bullshit things we were conditioned to do by the patriarchy, that in itself, two women working together to heal each other is huge. And so working with this wound, like not being impatient about just getting better, quote unquote, has allowed me to build this relationship with this physical therapist where she's helping me heal my body, but I also share things with her. I share insights with her. I share what I'm learning with her. And so, I mean, she's at work, so she hasn't necessarily said, "Oh, you've helped me with this," but it's like, who knows? Maybe I am helping her. And something she's helping me with is now my jaw, right? I was going somewhere else for physical therapy, but when I brought this up to her, my back therapist, she said, "Well, you can try this method." And she had a method of healing my jaw um, that the other clinic didn't offer. And so by continuing to see her and work through these wounds, well, now she's helping me heal something else. And so that's part of the healing journey of working with our wounds is that when you intentionally heal something, you're making an effort to heal one thing, that opens you up to healing other things. It's this journey and it's this powerful one. And it's not about being done, it's about holistically, collectively reclaiming your power and your personal agency. It's taking ownership over your wounds and seeing where your power is there, what you can do with the seeds, what you can do with the weapons. And then it's teaching others to do the same. So, working with this wound in my back and these wounds in my jaw has helped me see how holistic healing can be. And it's helped me to build this connection with this healer. And while I'm at this clinic, I'm also interacting with the administrative assistant at the front, who's just fantastic. I love her. Like, I love chatting with her too. And so, finally, just me stepping into the act of healing my back has opened up this door to just working with healers and working with women and kind of rebuilding those connections that women have. Because what we do in our one-on-one interactions, what we do in our community does impact the collective. I can't emphasize enough that just because you are not getting the publicity that some of the bullies of our country have right now does not mean that what you do doesn't matter. What you do in your community matters. We all have to do this. The healing that you do on one situations matters. So work with your wounds, my friends. Work with them. And this can apply to so many different situations. It can be physical, but as you're hearing, the physical always connects to the emotional and the spiritual. But if you have a work wound, because so many of us do have work wounds because of the country that we live in and how it treats people as machines, as budgets, as whatever. And we have so many people, like so many of our money-making systems in this country are just designed so that the people at the top can do whatever they want, can serve their own hidden corrupt agendas to live their own version of escapism and numbness. Because that's what it is. Like, let's be real. How many corrupt CEOs have some type of mistress or mister, I guess if it's a female, CEO, I kind of just made up that word, but or have some kind of sketchy side thing that they're doing with their money, or use their money to buy the fucking Tesla truck or whatever it is. Because let's be honest, how many fucking just dicks have Tesla trucks? Wanda Sykes made a joke about that in her most recent like comedy special that it's just really funny. Like she's like, yeah, we those of you driving Tesla trucks, we hate you. We think you're a dick. And it is just a very dick thing to do. But the point is a lot of us have work wounds because of how we're treated. So maybe that's where your wound is. Maybe working with it is unplugging from it. Or if you can't, if you need that paycheck, allowing not numbing yourself anymore when you get home from work. If you have to stay in that environment for now, well, instead of coming home and numbing with a beer or going out to the bar and numbing with small talk or gossip, maybe go home and open up your journal. Maybe go home and light a candle. You know, these quote unquote small adjustments are the things that can help lead you to your freedom. It's a way of working with your wounds. So we do this by acknowledging that it hurts. Don't numb yourself anymore and work in time and space to be with the wound, to ask yourself what you really want, who you really are, what really gets your heart going, where your heart really is, the kind of positive change that you want to make. And over time, working with this pain will lead to you building something remarkable, both in who you are and something that helps the collective. That's what we need to do, my friends. And another really great way to do that is to share this podcast. You know, there's somebody who needs to hear it. And I'm also so grateful for those of you who keep coming back. I see you. And that's why I get so excited to come and talk, is because I know that you're going to listen. So thank you for listening. And as always, thanks for coming.